Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today we're going to create a couple of cards using two new items at the Spellbinders shop. They are part of a collection by Becca Feeken called Sweet Cardlets II. There is a Sweet Cardlets I, and it's just as fabulous. But today we're going to create some glimmery cards with two of the items. This is the You're My Home Glimmer and die set, and then we have the Hemstitch Slimline die set, which I'm super excited about. Becca has a square, rectangle, and circle in the Hemstitch dies, and so a slimline die is perfect for our slimline cards. So let's jump in and grab our glimmer plates here. We're gonna make again some couple of housewarming cards, and I'm going to color in my little images with Copic markers. So I didn't want a foil that was too glimmery, so I chose pewter. I really like this foil because it's like a coffee brown. So we're going to bring in the quick trimmer and trim down a few pieces of foil. Hello, you can see my face in the foil, but you can, I actually need to take my quick trimmer and go over all my foils and get rid of my crooked edges. And that's what we're going to do first off. Take our foil blade and trim off our crooked edge. And then I like to grab my glimmer plate and put it on top of my quick trimmer. This way I can guesstimate the size of foil that I need. And I'll do that with my other pieces too. After we have our foil trimmed down, I'm also going to bring in, this is pewter foil, and I'm also going to bring in a red foil. There is a solid little heart in this set, and so I thought we'd create a few little hearts with a red foil. So I'll add this. How I like to line it up with my quick trimmer is use the bottom edge of the grid lines to create a straight foil line, and then I'll just use my trimming blade to trim down those lines on that top plastic piece. It just makes a straight line every time. So we have pewter and red foil. We're going to put this aside. I have my glimmer machine heating off to the side. We're going to just bring this in, and then we're going to do some foiling. I'm going to take this plate here. It has a whole bunch of houses on it with the beautiful sun in the background. And then we have just a little house glimmer plate, and then of course our solid little heart. Each of these are going to be foiled separately. And I thought, since we're going to do that square, I'm going to go ahead and take my secondary sentiment and add that too, and use the leftover foil from this piece. Maybe we can squeeze it on here. We'll add my cardstock, add some foil or red foil to our heart, and then we'll add our cardstock here too, and then add our pewter foil over our little individual house here, and then add some cardstock on top of this. When you have so many glimmer plates, make sure you put it towards the center of your platform. I found that this makes it foil a lot more evenly. Okay, I already have my sandwich made. I just keep my sandwich together. I have a couple pieces of cardstock in between my shim plate and then my top plate. I think you should just play around with your sandwich until you're happy with the outcome. And this foils for me usually every time. But here is my little heart. I'm actually going to grab my tweezers and remove my foil here. And this foiled okay, but not as nice as I wanted it to. So we're going to go ahead and do a redo with that. And then we'll take the foil off of our single house. And that foiled beautifully. And then we'll take the foil off of our little heart here. And this, I think we're going to definitely need to redo on that. Since it's solid, what I do end up doing is doubling up on the cardstock with the red heart, and then just using one piece of cardstock with the rest of them. So after I'm all done foiling, I actually want to create 5 of the individual houses and then 3 hearts. So that's what I went ahead and did off camera, just to save a little bit of time. And then next we're going to take a piece of printer paper. The printer paper is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. Actually, I take that back. It is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So it's a little, I wanted to have a little bit of my card base showing, so it's slightly smaller than that. I am going to add my sentiment along with the scalloped frame, and I'll set the timer, and then we're going to trim down some foil and cover this. Now the printer paper just acts as a centering medium for me. When I add my foil over the top, you want it to be smaller than your printer paper. This way you can take your cardstock and just line it up corner to corner, and then you can foil it like this, and it should center perfectly on your panel. So that's what I did. I foiled that, and you can see here I have a little bit of excess foiling, but that's okay. I think a sand eraser will take that off. So we're going to go ahead and remove our glimmer plates, and then I do want to foil one more item for my Slimline card using the welcome in the glimmer plate set. So we're going to go ahead and take a piece of white cardstock, and we're going to use our Hemstitch Slimline dies. We're going to take the two middle ones, and we're going to create a panel using these. The nice thing about the Hemstitch is you could put the dotted detail on the outside or on the inside, and I'm going to put mine on the inside and then run that through my die cutting machine. Next, I'll take my little welcome, kind of putting it where I want it to go on my little panel, and we're going to kind of foil this opposite. I added my foil first face up, and then I added my glimmer plate face up, and then I added some low tack tape, and then we're going to flip it over and put it on our glimmer machine here, and then foil this. This just makes it easier for centering purposes. I'm going to use my sand eraser and get rid of all the excess foiling, and I think this looks pretty good. There's a few little areas along the square part of it, but other than that I think it turned out really good. Let's run this through our Platinum 6 and see how this foils, and it foiled absolutely beautifully. And I think I said the welcome face up, but you want to put the welcome face down. I think I may have said that wrong, but our welcome foiled beautifully. Now that's all the foiling that we are gonna do, so I'm gonna take my glimmer machine and set it aside, let it cool down, and we'll take all of our, I ended up glimmering 6 of my houses, but we really only need 5. I'm gonna go ahead and die cut out my hearts and my individual houses so that they're ready to go, and all I have to do is end up coloring those in. Now again, I'm going to use my Copic markers to color in my houses and this little background. We glimmered a sentiment on that background piece, so I blocked it off, and then I'm going to use my scissors and trim around this rectangle, leaving just a little bit of a white border. You want it to fit on the inside of your scalloped frame panel, and so a little border is going to work out perfectly. We'll set these aside. This is basically what our 2 cards or elements of our cards we're going to use. After I have my images colored in, now I skipped the coloring, guys, because I just took my time, but I used some natural colors, tans, grays, browns, blues, and reds. And then of course some greens for the trees, and then I did create a greenhouse too, but just varied up the colors. You could use any color you want in coloring with this. And the pewter again is not so shiny that it takes away from the images, but it's very elegant after it's foiled. It seemed that my panel was just off a little bit, so I'm using my paper trimmer just to even it up so it doesn't look as crooked. And then pretty easy to do. It wasn't that bad, but it was enough just for me to trim off maybe about 1/8 of an inch. I am going to take my my panel here and mat that on some Pomegranate cardstock. I'm just going to line it up corner to corner on the bottom left and just have a little bit of that red peeking out. And you can see on the top and right side there's a lot more of that red cardstock showing. I'm going to use my paper trimmer and trim that down so it's all nice and even. We're just basically matting our panel on the red. Okay, once we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and take my image. I'm going to flip this over. I'm just going to use a piece of fun foam to add a little dimension to my card this way. trim down a square. And then we'll adhere that behind our little panel. And then I'll take my background here, add some adhesive behind it, and then this is going to go on an A2 size card. I think this, I don't make too many of my Welcome to the Neighborhood cards, and I think these are so nice because you have that foiled accent, and it really does add a little touch of elegance. You can see here how shiny, but not too shiny. And I'm calling it a scalloped edge, but it's actually like a postage stamp edge, guys. So the frame around it is like a postage edge. So that makes it even nicer. Sorry if I threw you off with the scallop. Okay, that's just about done. We are going to add a few extra touches in a minute. But I decided to place some of that pomegranate cardstock behind my Slimline panel here. And then we'll take this, add some foam adhesive behind it, and then we're going to go ahead and add our homes. I thought we'd kind of create a zigzag effect all the way up the top portion of our panel here, just having it slightly overhanging our white hemstitch panel there, kind of alternating colors and tucking just a little portion of the houses underneath each one. Add our blue house here, and then last we'll add our warm gray house on the very top. And I think that looks really fun. I think these would look so fabulous in some pastel colors. After I got this adhered, I thought, ooh, some pastel pinks and blues and yellows would be so pretty with these houses. A while back we had went to Galveston, Texas, and there were a row of houses facing the ocean in pastel colors, and oranges and pinks and blues and yellows and greens. It was so pretty. They were all two-story houses, and that's what these reminded me of. But I think these would look really great in some pastel colors. Okay, anyway, I'm popping this up with foam adhesive, and we're going to put this on our Slimline card. My Slimline card is actually 3.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. I like this size because I can use a sheet of cardstock. I can trim it at the 7-inch mark and then fold it in half, and then I have that extra piece to create panels with. So my Slimline is 3.5 inches by 8.5. That's the size that I prefer, but these dies I think would work with most any Slimlines. I'm going to go ahead and add my red foiled hearts, and it does add so much shimmer, just these little hearts on their own. We're going to add those two, and then last but not least I'm going to bring in some Journey Glaze. And with Glimmer hot foiling, you don't need to do very much because that shine is just does it all. But I'm just going to go over the windows with my Journey Glaze to add a little gloss, and then those are my projects today, guys, using a brand new Sweet Cardlets II Collection by Becca Feeken. Check it out, guys. The links are down below. Have a fabulous day. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.